the judo man.
Yeah.
He could possibly be one of the baddest guys in Trinidad and Tobago right now. Don't mess with him. Because let us know, how did you transition from water polo to end up out of the water and into judo?
So, you know, going back to the initial thing, I'd always wanted to do martial arts. And originally, actually, I started with a different martial art. I started with karate. Everybody knows about karate. And that's the natural thing that I think people kind of fall back on. And I started Shotokan karate under Mr. Brian and Adam Chin Young out at Torakan Dojo in 2007 as a means to actually just keep fitness outside of water polo.
2007, this would have been...
2007, but judo and water polo, and karate, sorry, are absolutely different.
No, yeah, but I mean, the karate was 2007.
2007.
So this was after you were a full-grown...
It was full-grown adult, yes. So I started 2007. I was 22 going on 23, and I came back home to Trinidad, and I was like, I want to do a martial arts. So I started with karate, and I did that for a few years, and I kind of... At that point in time, Trinidad and Tobago had just started like the mixed martial arts craze, you know. So I started karate, got really interested. I actually got my black belt in karate in 2010 under.
In 3 years.
So yeah. Right. So you know,
is that an accelerated program or is that the?
No. I was just going there most days, every single day, practicing my kata and becoming a karateka. And then what ended up happening is karate. There is competition in karate, but the rugged physical competition I liked in water polo wasn't actually there. So I started getting into grappling. Now, grappling arts is either on the ground fighting or very, very close throwing.
Yes.
So I started doing that, and I recognized, it's a little bit harder than I thought it was, So there were a couple of guys in our gym who did wrestling, etc., and I wanted to have an advantage against them. So I started what is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
And with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I kind of, with my education in the art, I recognized like there was something missing again.
Right.
Actually getting somebody down to the ground. So after that, I started judo under Sensei Mark Littrian, actually an old boy of Queens Royal College, right? And that's how my judo journey started, maybe in 2012. So, I went to Sensei Mark and I told him, I really want to learn how to throw people, and he gave me a white belt and he told me, you need to come and learn. Yes.
So walk us through the differences between jiu-jitsu and judo, and a karate and a judo.
All right, okay. So karate is what you consider a hard art. It is based on punching. Right. It's based on punching, based on kicking. Even though in karate the budo or the way there is no first strike. The other aspect of it is that it's pretty lethal. As in karate, if it is you do strike somebody, it's supposed to be one blow, sure kill.
Right.
You're striking the person to take them out. Jiu-jitsu and judo are very, very close. Right. So jiu-jitsu was started as an art form by samurai warriors, as a military art, military fighting system to actually to get somebody down to the ground, and actually the same type of idea upon. But in war, when you have weapons, a lot of the times you may not be able to strike somebody through armor, and the jiu-jitsu developed as that art form. The modern judo and modern jiu-jitsu differentiated from that as Jigoro Kano, who's actually the father of any type of grappling art that you may know today, whether it be sambo, judo, jiu-jitsu. In 1882, he decided to form a martial art which preached maximum efficient use of energy and respect for all. Okay. And so judo became an art form where it is you threw the person, but you did not permanently injure them. I mean, a fall would hurt, but it would not.
It's more for restraint.
It's more for restraint and control. Right. And he took up in the self-defense aspect of judo. You do have strikes and kicks, but in the sporting aspect, which is majority of what people practice, there's no deadly techniques. There's no punching. There's no kicking or anything like that. So that's how judo formed. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually a son of judo, which kind of it evolved in Brazil. And with the different influences in Brazil, it became something that was less focused on throwing and more focused on control of a person on the ground. So if it is that you did get a fight, you know, the little scuffs that you see little kids getting on, control and that type of stuff. So that's the evolution from the samurai warrior until today.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent, excellent. And you're in judo.
I'm in judo, yes.
You're in judo. How does one go from saying, well, I want to practice some martial arts,
Yes.
I want something a little bit more robust, a little more physical,
Yes.
to I want to go to the Olympics?
So I mean, I think you don't actually know how dreams are going to end up, you know. And the thing is, I'd always had a dream about going to the Olympics, even when I was a swimmer.
Right.
And I trained every single day, sometimes 13 sessions a day, and it just wasn't a sport that my athletic talents were tailored to. So what ended up happening, I think, is that when I started doing judo, it was the original intention was not to go to the Olympics. It was something that I wanted to compete still, because I still felt that I had that drive to compete. And it's only after I won my first national championship, after about 3 or 4 months of practicing judo, I won the national championships in judo in Trinidad. And I said, oh, this was 2012.
Right.
And as a white belt, I thought, it's like, hey, I could go to the Olympics. You know, it was not a thought out dream, you know, but I thought that it's like, yeah, you know, why not?
Why not?
Why not at that point in time, you know?
So let me just clarify that statement though. As a white belt, were you competing with only white belts, or you mean you won the overall championship?
With everybody. In judo, a belt holds up your gi, holds up your kit,
All right.
holds up your suit.
Understood.
In the end, and this is the misconception a lot of people get, it's like black belt means that you've contributed a certain amount of time to the art form, which is absolutely respectful. I'm a black belt now in judo, so I have absolute respect for the black belt in any martial art. But a black belt doesn't mean that you could fight. It just means that you know the kata, you know the technique, and etc. Yes.
So was there any bad blood? I mean, you're the new kid on the block, and you beat some of the senior guys. Was there
I don't think there was any bad blood per se. I mean, you know, a lot of guys had you know, some of the guys I know before me in judo had Olympic dreams, and they just didn't have the opportunity or the means to actually get on the quest, on the road to whatever Olympic Games. You know, there have been a couple of guys who were close, including Mark Litrin. He was one of my coach. He is the most successful judoka in Trinidad and Tobago history, but he didn't have an opportunity to go to the Olympics. He was right on the cusp, you know. So I see it more as a lot of these guys, you know, it's only been positive, you know, positive messages, encouragement that they've had, because they recognize how tough it actually is to make it to the Olympics. Okay. So
well, tell us a bit more about that, because
all right,
what is the road to get there? I mean, because there's been a lot of everyone does martial arts at some point in time in Trinidad.
Yeah,
as a young boy, everybody wants to try it.
Yeah.
But we don't hear of that many people actually
making that step to go to the
or
Olympics.
making it like a professional, like a road.
Yeah.
It's just something, a pastime. But so if a kid watching now wants to go that way, what's the process here?
So first of all, I think you know, to compete at international tournaments, I know I did tell you that you didn't need the black belt.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but you need a black belt to compete in international. So you have to go through that process, right? And that process requires discipline and time. You need to actually be good enough to actually get your black belt. The thing about the black belt is in Trinidad and Tobago, it is about, and in any judo place actually, it's about your capacity to fight. So there's the competition aspect of it. So you know, you need to love to compete. That feeds into this Olympic journey. So how the Olympics journey is actually managed is through the International Judo Federation, which is the governing body of judo throughout the world. And they have a list of maybe 25 tournaments a year, which are world ranking tournaments and Olympic ranking tournaments. These are held for 4 years before the Olympics. And what you actually have to do is go and compete in these tournaments. And once it is you compete, if you do well, you gain points,
Right.
you gain world ranking places, and then Olympic ranking places. How it's arranged, it's not just straight rank also, it is also based on continental ranking. So our continent is the Pan American region. So it's not, that's not a continent, but it's,
our region,
it's our region is North and South America, which is the Pan American region. And the Pan American region has a certain number of bids to go to the Olympics.
Okay.
So you need to be ranked within the Pan American region to actually gain a place in the Olympic Games.
All right, so before we talk about you, if the Pan American region has, well, let's say, are there even number of spots for every region in the world?
So how they've done it is it's based on number of judo federations within that region.
Okay.
So the Pan American region is relatively competitive. We have a lot of strong nations. You will not be stunned to hear that Cuba is very, very strong in judo. Brazil is very strong. Argentina has world champions. Canada is relatively strong. So we have some big countries across here that are very, very good.
World leaders in sports.
World leaders, you know.
Right.
Brazil has one of the best female teams in the world,
right.
you know.
So can you be ranked, like for instance, if we have, can you be ranked like maybe 20th in our region, but not make it because there are too many other people from outside?
Yes. So what ends
right.
up happening? So currently, what ends up happening is that there are a maximum number of bids from a region.
Right.
So I think it's a total of like 22 bids between male and female within this region.
Male and female.
Male and female. So what ends up happening is that the highest ranked person in the world ranking gets these continental bids outside of the automatic way to qualify.
Okay.
So to qualify for the Olympics, you have to be top 22 in the world. Right. Then beyond that, it is the next 22 places from the continent, male or female.
Okay.
So you need to be within that space. And then there are a couple of the conditions, you know, like if it is that there's more than one person that's qualified, your next person needs to be within the top 22 in the world. So there's some complexity to it, but that's the basic idea behind it.
So how do you feel right now in terms of your ranking?
So I've actually qualified for the Olympics through my placing in the Pan American Senior Championships. I came 5th. And what I need to do is maintain my continental ranking for this next year until April. Well, not next year, I keep forgetting, until April. And then I would be assured a place in the Olympics. So as of right now, I have a spot in the Olympics based on my finish in the Pan American Senior Championships last year. And how I need to do two things. So the first thing is to maintain my continental space, and then the second thing is to increase my world ranking so that when I actually do fight in the Olympics, I'm not fighting one of the highest placed people within the Olympics. Because if it is that I just slip in, I'll fight the #1 fight in the world, and it's you know,
and have a quick
exit. I'll be a glorified tourist, you know, tourist with a pass in Rio.
Think it was the Argentine who defeated you in Panama in the end.
In the Pan American Senior Championship, Argentinian. I've faced him a couple of times. He's got the better of me a few times, but you know, I hope that I will face him again. I'm 100% sure. In April, when we have actually a Pan American Senior Championships again in April in Rio de Janeiro. So a great warm up to the Olympics, and next time I'll get him. So
third time's the charm, right?
Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm.
Yes.
So going into the Olympics,
yes.
How many tournaments do you have scheduled?
So this year is going to be a very, very hectic year. Last year I thought it was, you know, I'd been all over the place, but this year it's going to be a great lineup of events. So actually next week, I'm heading to the United Kingdom to first compete in Edinburgh in the Scottish Open, which is not an Olympic qualifier, but it's going to be a warm-up tournament to start off the year.
Well, let me ask, is this like a lower level
tournament?
It's
an international, so it's not an Olympic qualifier. So it's below the top 25 tournaments that
it's one that you think could give you like a kind of ease of entry into competition,
because I have not competed since our national championships in November. So so that's the first tournament, and then I jump a couple rungs to the Paris Grand Slam in February. It's actually, I hope to have a great carnival because I'm actually spending carnival in Paris.
Okay.
All right. Yes, but that tournament is actually going to be more competitive than the Olympics, because what ends up happening a lot of times is that the certain nations, for example, Japan, France, Brazil, have a lot of people that are very, very good. But in the Olympics, you only allowed one person from a country. Okay. So, what ends up happening in Paris Grand Slam is you may have 3 or 4 guys from France, 3 or 4 guys from Japan. So that actually is going to be one of the most competitive events I do this year. So I think it's going to be a great wake-up call. Then subsequent to that, I have a South American tour, which I'm going to Peru, Chile, and then Argentina. And these tournaments are are going to be, these are tournaments that I can medal at. I can be fiercely competitive. And those are all preparation for the Pan American Senior Championships, which is, again, our continental placing tournament in April. So those are the 6 tournaments that I have prepared for the first 3-4 months of this year.
So should something unfortunate happen in the Pan Am Games, it doesn't mean you're out of the Olympics, right?
It doesn't automatically mean I'm out of the Olympics. If it is that I perform moderately in all those tournaments, I will accumulate enough points to maintain my spot. Okay. The Pan American Senior Championships is more or less a guarantee, and if it is I do well, I will jump hugely in the world rankings, and I would get a better placing when I go to the Olympics.
Olympics in Rio.
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk to Christopher some more about his training and what he's doing to get ready for Rio. And we're here with Christopher George, and we're talking about his journey to Rio, where he's going to represent Trinidad and Tobago in Olympics in judo. So we were just talking off air about your traveling throughout the past year, and you're probably going to pick up as many miles again this year in preparation.
Hopefully that's the goal. I think that there's a duality to this. There's one, the dream of going to the Olympics and competing, but there's also the experience of life, where it is that I'm getting an opportunity to go to places that I may not have had an opportunity to go to without sport. Right. So,
but is judo a professional sport? Like, are you being paid to?
So judo is on the highest level of professional sport. I mean, one of the highest paid athletes in France is a guy named Teddy Riner. And he does get paid to do judo, but generally, I'd say maybe 95% of the athletes do not get paid specifically to do judo. Okay. We're kind of doing it as glorified amateur athletes. We may get some sort of funding from or help from our judo federation or the Olympic Committee, but it's not a salary job at all. It's more or less, there's a lot of respect within the judo community, as in it is a passion. It is a passion that you live with. Right. So.
Well, I know the Olympics is primarily amateur sports.
Amateur sports, yeah. Yes.
But so how are you funding your preparation? Like how is it possible for you to be able to attend all these tournaments?
Yes.
And prepare yourself?
So, I mean, originally, a lot of things have kind of fallen in place. And I would be remiss not to thank a few people that have actually helped me. They're one of the companies that helped me actually here is G-Tech, which is Gaming Technologies. They sponsored me a bit. The Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, right. They've given me money for specific tournaments. Ministry of Sport has given me allocated a certain amount of money towards me, and also Judo Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. They have given me some money. Alongside that, a lot of money that have actually gone were from private donors who I have personal relationships with. I ran a crowdfunding activity early on in the year, and I had something like 93 contributors. Okay. So beside the major sponsors, there were 93 people who've actually gone and helped me on this journey so far. You know, and that's
it's great to see people coming out to
great to see
support
people. Exactly. You know, that's actually, that was something that really motivated me on the onset, because I was a little bit worried making this transition. Being a professional, I'm a trained engineer.
Right.
You know, being I don't want to use the word, but indoctrinated in this type of thing where it is that we need to have a job
to have money.
To be able to survive. And then when it is I started the crowdfunding activity, recognizing that so many people shared or saw my dream and respected me enough to actually just give, you know, and help me actually get on this journey. So there were some major players, but a large majority of it has actually been the energy from the community of people, you know, from my secondary school, from my university, from my fraternities, all the different relationships that I've had throughout throughout my lifetime. People have actually contributed.
So you're a qualified engineer, and you have to leave your job to focus entirely on this stream that you have to represent our country.
Yes,
that's it's totally admirable.
Yes,
and we're amazed that you
I made that choice. I made that choice. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people when I was making it. Sometimes in life you need to make a tough decision, and I think that's something that is your passion. Those are going to be the toughest decision. Yeah. Do you go out and try making the Olympics when it's not guaranteed? Because when I quit, I wasn't qualified for the Olympics, you know. But a friend actually told me, and I hope I joined him in the fraternity of Olympians, you know. I was talking to George Borvell, who is a 5-time Olympian, and he told me when we were competing at a tournament in Glasgow in Scotland about a year and a half ago, he said, you know, Chris, you need to give all your focus to this. You can't be competing as an amateur while everybody else has a professional mindset. Definitely. And that was, I took those words to heart, and from that point forward, I kind of figured out I needed to do this full time, and I needed to figure out a way to be actually able to devote 6 to 6 in the night. A job. My job had to be judo, and that's been the transition over the last 7 months. You know, since I quit.
I think George would have been in your era in swimming. So
yeah, George was actually. So I've known George since I was 5, and George was a swimmer with me. You know, so you kind of think back. You know, we used to talk about going to the Olympics when we were 7 and 8 years old. Right. George made it to the Olympics, and now I'm going to join him a few years. Well, you know,
that's kind of that is a kind of amazing story.
Yeah.
You know, so tell us about your day, 6 to 6. What's training for?
What's training for Christopher George judo champion? So my day starts off a little bit before 6. I get up maybe 5:45. The first thing is I you know, start getting ready. The first session that I actually do is yoga. Now a lot of people might be questioning, how does yoga, you know, everybody believes it's this soft thing. Yoga for me in judo, as in most of the sports, flexibility is the foundation. Flexibility before strength. And since I've actually started in this judo journey, I recognized one of my largest deficiencies was in flexibility. So I actually do yoga in the Shanghai Yoga Studio under Karen Blackman. And every morning from 7 o'clock to 8:15 in the morning, I do a yoga session, right? So 75 minutes of yoga, and that's how I start my day. I call it moving meditation and flexibility.
Are these specialized sessions dedicated to what you need? Or?
No. These sessions are not specialized towards what I need specifically, but I recognize that they fit right into what it is I needed. You know, so it's the practice is actually very, very hard. You know, it deals with core stability, arm and muscular strength, a lot of balancing. You know, if you do one of the poses in yoga, it almost looks like you're doing judo. You know, when it is you get into some of these postures, because it's that dynamic and that powerful. You know, as a session. So that's my first session until 8:15. Normally between 8:15 and 9 o'clock, I go and get some breakfast. And then I go into my second session, which is at the Elite Athlete Performance Unit at the National Stadium. You know, so I train under a couple of coaches named Orlando, Shane. They've tailored a program for me that actually builds on what they call mobility. So they build my mobility, and they also build explosive strength. So that here, when I'm back home in Trinidad, that's where I go to. I go to the Athlete Performance Center. And
this will be a combination of weights and cardio?
Yeah, so the session actually starts off with mobility work. It looks really simple. I thought it was simple before. You know, it's about increasing your shoulder mobility, increasing your hip mobility, and that builds upon the yoga. You know, and then you do what they call thermogenics to get you warmed up, and then you do a specific weight session, which is full range of motion, a lot of functional movements. Right, so it's not just push and bench press and whatever. It's a lot of functional movements. So you do a lot of Olympic lifts, a lot of balancing stuff, and I do that for 2.5 hours in the morning. So I normally finish maybe around 11:30, 12 o'clock. So that's my morning sessions.
And then you get a rest.
Then I get a little bit of a rest. Yeah. So I mean, I've recognized that I could not have been doing all these things without help from actually my physiotherapist. My major one is actually Pulse Performance, Ashley De Freitas and Vanessa Aberdeen. Both of those girls, they help me tremendously. They deal with flexibility, additional flexibility work, but specifically for physical therapy.
I know they're very interested in sports science.
Sports science. So in other words, so they're different attributes. A lot of people may think that all these guys are the same thing, but they're very, very different. There's performance specialists, which is the elite athlete performance unit, and then there are physio and rehab specialists, which help and complement what we actually do inside in the gym.
They focus more on your body.
They focus more on my body. So the thing is that sometimes when it is you're doing heavy lifts, you get a lot of pain, a lot of spot pain. They help with that type of stuff. They help with fascial release, specific stretching to relieve your pain and get your body moving like a well-oiled machine. So that's actually an hour to 2 hour sessions that I do maybe 3 times a week. And that normally happens right after lunch between 1 and 2, 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then some days I juggle between going back to another flexibility and yoga session, and then in the afternoon I do judo. Judo or sometimes jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, because they're very, very close. And I do judo, as I said, with Mark Litrin at the Queen's Park Judo Club. And I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu or grappling with Torakan Dojo under Adam Chinyang. Yes.
So at your sessions, at your actual judo sessions,
yes.
I guess you have to work on specific things that you think are your weaknesses. That's how it goes? Or?
Yeah, so in judo we call it the game. You know, this is one thing I've been learning, especially this last year, about there's a game of judo. It's a fight game where it is that I want to be in a place that is dangerous to my opponent, but I am not in danger of being thrown. You know, because judo can end in 5 seconds. You know, it's that quick.
It's all about finding the correct time to
that
strike.
Correct moment, that correct opportunity. You know, maximum efficient use of energy. The creator of judo came up with that principle in 1882, and it's the same thing now. You know, and that's when I'm back home, especially. I'm trying to focus on just my game. You know, it's on being as smooth as I possibly can, you know, looking for opportunities, you know, and that happens every afternoon that I'm in the dojo practicing.
Is it difficult to find, like, I guess, sparring partners?
So in I mean, I don't want to tear down any, the guys at Queen's Park Judo Club, they're my brothers, and
it's not tearing down because I mean, if you want to aspire to be the best in the world and go to the Olympics, I mean, we recognize that there's no ex-champion here to really push you. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have a great group of guys here, but the thing is that the highest levels of competition are not here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I hope that when I get to that point, we start filling that gap of that level of competition. So I actually go and train externally a lot of times, primarily at Jason Morris Judo Club. Jason Morris is an Olympic silver medalist for the United States, based out of New York, and I actually go and train at his center, and I have been training at his center over the last 6 months, trying to perfect this game of judo. He's a very, very technical coach, and he focuses on the exact game that I want to be playing when it is that I'm fighting someone. You know, primarily throw them as quickly as I possibly can, and you know, get on to the next match.
How about as far as you possibly can?
As far as yes, as far as I possibly can. Yes.
Right. So you head into Rio.
Yes.
What's your aim? Like what do you expect to?
So I mean, my goal is, and I have this dream, you know, of standing over the Olympic rings as a champion. You know, I have this idea of how do we build a champion, and I felt that this idea of build a champion primarily had to start with me. It's like, how do I build myself into a champion? How do I build myself into the best version of Christopher George? And my goal for Rio 2016 is to be proud of the effort that I've put in and the fight that I'm making on that Olympic tatami. You know, so I don't want to go and say a specific medal or a specific placing, but it's to go inside there to be the best Christopher and to do the best that I can. You know, obviously, being the best Christopher consists of winning matches. You know, but that's more of a goal below the surface. I need to win matches to move on to the medal rounds, etc. And that is always the goal. You know, you want to you know, as every kid has a dream of, you know, walking up with
being the winner, being the best,
being the best, and that's obviously something that's there. You know, but for me, it's being a champion on top of on that mat, on top of that Olympic tatami. You know, it's like being a champion on top of that. You know, so
well, forgive my ignorance, very slight bit of ignorance here. I'm not usually this, but 2020.
Yes.
In terms of the judo world and competitors, would you be over the hill at that point? I mean, like what's the general age of peaking in judo? Because you did start late.
I did start late, yeah. So I mean, right now, you know, it's like I'm 32. So they have judokas who are competing until 35, 36, 37. You know, I've been so consumed with this quest for Rio that I've not actually thought about Tokyo 2020. But I know it's in Tokyo. I know approximately how many days away from Tokyo it actually is. So I mean, that's in my psyche. But right now I'm kind of focused on that. You know, the other thing too is that there's some young, talented guys. And now it's funny.
True.
It's funny. I started this Olympic journey, and originally you know, nobody thought about going to the Olympics. And now some of these kids, 15, 16, 17 years old, are like, you know, you see them on their Instagram and Facebook profile, future Olympian. And that, I think, if I only did that, that would actually be me achieving goals. Like, this is a potential for Trinidad and Tobago judokas. And that was actually a great feeling when I see some of these guys, you know, having that as an aspiration.
Well, definitely. You have definitely set a trend. And changed the landscape of judo in Trinidad and Tobago forever. Yeah. And I think that the next generation is definitely inspired. And just as you did in water polo,
yes,
we are pretty sure that you're going to see a lot of youngsters coming up trying to take your place and aspiring to be like you.
Exactly, and that's going to push me. Maybe that pushes me to Tokyo 2020, you know? But I hope that I wouldn't be doing this journey alone, you know? I hope that there would be 10 other guys with me, you know, living, breathing judo, you know, and aspiring for that ultimate goal, that gold medal. Yeah.
So 2016. Let's bring it back to the present because it's right in front of us, and we really want to focus all our energy on Rio.
Yes,
currently.
Rio.
The guys you competing against, the guys who's going to be in Rio with you, especially those from this region. Have you faced them often? Like, are you familiar with them yet, or is still?
Yes, I've actually, you know, the thing is that there's a kinship in judo, and I didn't recognize it until I actually started competing a lot in this region, where it is that a couple of the guys that are the strongest nations are Cuba, Brazil, Canada, some guys in the United States, and when it is you start traveling, these guys see you. And every single one of these guys are on exactly the same journey. They understand the pain that you're going through. They recognize that you're not making a huge amount of money, and you're doing this just for the passion, just for the goal of the gold.
Right.
And So I've actually gained a lot of friendships, you know, and it's kind of funny, you know. I look at my sometimes on my Facebook page, and there's a world champion and a Olympic medalist there, and they're doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing. You know, they're training hard, they're in the weight room every single day, they're doing judo, they're working on their games. So it's that brotherhood, that fraternity that I have now within judo. You know, and that's actually what has been a pleasant surprise. There's no, you know, we're doing a fighting art where you're literally going out there to smash somebody.
Yeah.
But they, you know, off the mat, you know, we're friends. You know, right. So it's a great thing. Yeah, it's a great thing.
It's great. I mean, judo is as all martial arts, you have that respect for the opponent.
You have that respect. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're totally amazed here at Christopher George. I mean, he's an engineer, a swimmer for Trinidad and Tobago, water polo captain for Trinidad and Tobago, and now judo Olympian. And there's not many people you would find in the world who starts their Olympic journey at age 27.
Yeah, I started at 20, and now I'm 32.
Yeah, at age 27. And I think just for those things alone, you should be really proud of your accomplishments in life.
Yeah.
But all the same, we wish you all the best here from the Sportman, and we will be following you all the way to Rio, where we hope you could maximize your dreams.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot.
And that's it for us here at the Sportman. We'll be keeping you informed of Christopher's journey and keeping you informed of how he develops on the way to Rio. You can keep track of him on his Facebook as well as Instagram, Twitter.
If you look up Christopher George Judo, you'll find me on Facebook. If you look up Christopher George on Instagram, or Chris Trini G, you could find me on Instagram. The hashtag that I like to tell everybody, build a champion TT, is the hashtag. All the stuff, if you follow that hashtag, build a champion TT. Yes.
Hashtag build a champion TT. That's what we're doing here with the Sportman, and that's what Chris is doing. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago, for viewing today, and let's support our athletes all the way to Rio.